Hey boss, welcome to the Blogger Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Liz Stapleton from elizabethstapleton.com and founder of the Blogger Breakthrough Summit. Today we're talking about Pinterest SEO with my friend Lena, who's kind enough to speak at the 2020 Blogger Breakthrough Summit. I'm sure you'll find from listening to this episode, sessions at the summit are all action-packed. They're not full of fluff or just long-winded sales pitches. We've all seen those. We all hate those. So if you want to make sure that you get notified when registration for the 2021 Summit opens, make sure that you're signed up for our newsletter. You can go to bloggerbreakthrough.com/newsletter, or just go to the link will be included in the show notes as well. So let's take a listen to part of Lena's summit session to learn more about how to best use keywords in Pinterest.
But keywords, which is what we're going to talk about, is so misunderstood. So what do you think people, kind of gloss over or miss when it comes to using Pinterest to market their blog, especially when it comes to keywords?
Oh boy. Okay. I feel like this is I could go on hours and hours about this.
I'll catch up. Sorry.
Yeah. Just ask me questions. If I start getting off a tangent, you let me know.
Okay.
So there's just a few things. And actually I'm teaching a new class right now. And so it's fresh in my mind, some of the questions that people asked me in the beginning. So one thing I like to keep in mind is when you talk about keywords, I came from the world of Google SEO. And so I knew all those little tricks. And then when I got onto Pinterest, it was more visual. But then after I started using it for a while, I realized that it's still based on the same rules that any search engine is, because they have to have a way to organize the content on there. Mm-hmm. So Pinterest, in a way, it used to be more real-time driven, and that's how a lot of people could see a lot of really instant results, whether or not they were using keywords at all, right?
Yeah.
Because it used to be a real-time feed as long as you just had your pins popping up there all the time, people were seeing it, people were clicking it, they were showing it to people no matter what. Mm-hmm. They've kind of gotten away from that over the years. So if you can implement keyword strategies on there and understand where you should put your keywords, then you'll do a lot better.
Okay.
But don't let me forget, I want to talk about how specific you get with your keywords too.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that.
But I always like to say the first thing that people need to know when it comes to Pinterest SEO is that there are only certain ways that you can tell Pinterest what your keywords are. And I call it your Pinterest keyword real estate. And so when Pinterest is looking at your pins and looking at your blog posts, they're not the same as Google where they're diving in, they're crawling your site. I mean, they might start getting there, but as far as I know, they're not there yet.
Yeah.
They look at your actual pin. They look at where you pinned your pin. So they look at your board that you pinned it to, what it's about, what other pins are occurring. They call it pin co-occurrence on that board. So because they need a clue as to who to show this to. And these are the clues that they're taking. So where is it pinned? What other pins are around it? When it gets pinned, what other kind of pinners pin it? So they're looking at all of this. So once your pin gets out there and it gets pinned by, let's say it's a budgeting pin, and it gets pinned by all these different budget accounts, budgeting bloggers, people interested in budgeting, they start assigning these attributes to your pin. Mm-hmm. So we want to tell them things, give them clues. We want to, make sure our keywords are on our board descriptions, on our board titles, that on the pin itself, they're starting to be able to read your pins, so that on the pin itself, it has the words that you want it to be recognizing you for. Your blog post title, which also appears, when you look at it.
That's kind of a newer thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure your title of your post has the keywords in it or something similar and related.
Yeah.
And your pin description that you can type in when you put the pin in. And also the meta description of your blog post, which a lot of people gloss over that part, I find, because Pinterest, it depends on how you're looking at it. I use it on the desktop a lot, and on desktop, it does show you it's pulling meta descriptions most of the time. I think whether or not they show it to you in the moment, they're still seeing it.
Yeah.
So it's important that you have your Pinterest keywords in your meta description, but that's overall good practice for SEO anyway, right? Because you want Google to be able to.
Well, and one of the things is too, because a lot of people, and this is something hopefully people are moving away from, we're using their alt text for their pin description, mm-hmm. or just using the same description from their meta description for their pin description, and that's really kind of a mistake because you really have two different, or at least I think it's a mistake. Let me know if you think it's not. You have two different opportunities to really work in and tell Pinterest what your post is about or whatever it is you're pinning.
No, I absolutely agree. Especially on the screens, depending on where they're using Pinterest from, when they can see, let's say that somebody can see your image, your title, your meta description, and the pin description all on that one screen. You don't want it to say the same thing. You don't want it to say best budgeting ideas for 2020, best budgeting ideas for 2020, best budgeting ideas for 2020 4 times, because it doesn't tell them why they should click over to your post. So just from a user standpoint, it doesn't make any sense, but also from a Pinterest standpoint, you're only giving them best budget spreadsheet. In that example, you could have given them all these other phrases like
Budget
how to start
template,
budgeting.
how to start a budget,
Mhm.
how to use budget spreadsheet. I mean, there's, we can go on and on.
Okay, hopefully this little snippet has given you some more understanding when it comes to Pinterest SEO. I hope you'll join me next week to learn about how to better use analytics so that you can make better decisions as a blogger and earn more money. I'll catch you next time.